I was thinking, I know you all are serious, but still I'm thinking that can we become little more serious to start the journey? Note down or remember. I'm making it simple and the journey of the Eastern wisdom so that you can ask me that you have not covered this and you have covered this. So that will help your mind to, to perceive the entire journey and what you have covered and what you have not covered. That gives you a perspective so that we are confining the mind into a territory of the Eastern wisdom to get maximum out of it. So it can be in a few steps. The very first step is the curiosity, or you can say an aspiration, or I want to know how to bring an end to the suffering. That is our first question. So that question should remain in our head all the time. Why all the time? How many times you were upset, anxious, reacted last week since the last session I covered? You got upset how many times? And you got upset with the near and dear ones. You have no chance to get upset with me. Don't tell me, but it's a fact. So the very first step is that I should keep in mind, I should have a curiosity that is it possible to bring an end to the suffering with a big question mark? And then the second step is, so how do you know that? So in the first step, we are listening and learning from a teacher, and what the teacher teaches. Teacher teaches from the teachings of the great masters. That's how the tradition begins. What should be the second step? So I should understand what exactly is the common desire and the goal of life, goal of human life. I should think of it. So what normally happens, I discuss about the goal of life is this, you hear it, you agree it for an hour, and after that you forget it. No, I don't forget it. Really? Are you sure? You don't forget? Can I give you an example? Say yes, then I will give you the example. So just after the session, you were upset with the honey. Is that your goal? So that's not my goal. So I'm not going there. I need not to get upset. You reacted to someone. Is that your goal? That is how the Eastern wisdom works. Eastern wisdom doesn't work like a philosophy. No. Every rule, every principle you learn, it has a practical side of it. So when the mind becomes 100% clear through the intellect that this is the common desire and the goal of the human life. So the moment any situation, any condition, in any location with anyone enters in your life and you are aware, no, that's not my goal. I don't need to get upset. Why? That's not my goal. It is because of the situation. It is because of the other person. I have a right not to get upset. I have a birthright not to get upset. Do we exercise it? Say yes. Even though we can say even if fake, even if it is fake, because when you repeat this, it will become Real. Do you understand that? We have an ability of a self-awareness not to get upset. That is our second step. But how it happens, that is our third step. We should be 100% clear what is real, what is false, and what is unreal. Science works only in two modes: real, unreal. It proves what is unreal, so it drops the ignorance, it drops the wrong notions, but we have three factors to work with: real, false, unreal. What is unreal? That does not exist. It is non existent. Do you see the horn on my head? That is unreal. That is the meaning of unreal. And real, the definition of real in Eastern wisdom is real is that which is beyond time. What do you mean? It existed before, in the past, it exists now, it will continue to exist in the future. That is the definition of real. One definition. We will understand that. I'm just giving an example. And the third point now, false. So how do we define the false so that we understand? It is half it is real and half it is unreal. Is it possible? John follows science. He says, no. Let me define it again. It appears real, but it is not. It does not exist. Do you have any example in your head? Mirage water appears to exist, but it is non-existent. From too far, you see the mirage water is there. You approach near, you don't find the mirage water. That is defined as a false. You drop everything that is false, you already have discovered what is real self, what is peace and happiness. You will declare by yourself that peace and happiness are my essential nature. It's not only mirage water. I discussed before also, but I did not talk about the principle. Look at your floor where you are sitting. Is it moving or is it stationary? It appears stationary, but it is a part of the earth. The earth is constantly moving. How did I define false? It appears as real, but it is unreal. It appears that it is existent, but at the same time, it is non-existent. You get upset over me. Is it real? Ask yourself. It comes under the category of false. It appears to exist. But the moment I understand it, that it appears to exist, but it is not, you stop being reactive. You will stop fighting. You will stop suffering. So what will enter into your mind? That I am not worthy of suffering. Are you worthy of suffering? I'm already suffering, since the last session. And you are saying that. So we will enter into. So that is what the third step is. In the fourth step, then once we recognize, once we understand, not recognize, it is not easy to recognize at a deeper level, at a subtler level, that I'm not suffering, I don't have a pain and the pleasure. It takes a time to understand other subsets of this. The fourth step is that once I understand it, these three categories, real, false, and unreal, then I start thinking, speaking, and acting in my personal, professional, social, family life, not to allow the mind to be guided by the false. That is known as the purity of the mind. Did you understand that? Simple. This step means that I have to think, speak, and act in such a way that the false should not enter into my mind in my personal, professional, social, family life. So what I need to do, I need to bring about a change in my behavior and attitude. So that also takes a little time if you follow that. Every time you live into that awareness, dropping and rejecting the false and the unreal, what is left is the real. And what is that real? That real is the real self. I am the real self of the nature of peace and happiness. But this step, when I think, speak, and act, it means I have to purify the mind. That is one aspect. Second aspect, what will happen that you set an agenda for the mind. The mind does not set an agenda for you. Mind does not set an agenda. You set an agenda for the mind. Another way, the mind is working on you, you drop it. You understand how the mind is working on you. Instead, you have started working on the mind. That is going to change the behavior and attitude and the responses while living, thinking, and speaking and acting. This step. Next step. So now I have to rise in awareness. I have not to fall in awareness. In order to rise in awareness, we pick up the same thing. What is real, what is false, and what is unreal. We go at a very subtler level. We discern. So who discerns? The intellect. So we awaken the power of discernment, we awaken the power of dispassion, and we awaken to the 6 treasures of the mind, not the 6 enemies of the mind. So when we awaken to those 6 treasures, I'll be talking about it. Once we awaken to the 6 treasures of the mind with the power of discernment and dispassion, that intellect instantly realizes what is false and it is dropped. You can't say the mirage water caused the flood. Do you see that? I'm giving you a certain example. The same way you say, oh, my honey fought with me, but I was very happy. It didn't affect me. You don't know how much suffering I am. You don't say that. So now in this step, we awaken the power of discernment, the power of dispassion, and the 6 treasures in the mind, so that now we are approaching very near to the real self. How come? The next step becomes, now you have such an intense desire to know the real self. You have an intense desire. And that intense aspiration to know yourself keeps your mind withdrawn inside, in the state of the calm. Let me tell you the intense desire again. I'm defining that intense desire. Then no situation outside dictates you, but the intense desire dictates your mind to know myself. Next step. Once you followed all the steps that I just explained, then the next step is self-inquiry. You have done a lot of practices. You have understood that this practice brings the calmness and the peace. But now it is more on the knowledge part, the self-inquiry. What does that mean? I inquire, who am I? Even though I started in the very first step, but because the mind was full of ignorance, full of wrong notion, full of misunderstanding. So now until this step, the mind is clear, mind is pure, intellect is highly receptive. In that receptive, the teacher teaches the method of the self-inquiry by listening, the principles of Eastern wisdom, and then your intellect is ready to contemplate and reflect. At present, what is happening that every session you listen and learn and then you forget. He has given 1 hour session and 7 days a week. I have 24 hours to live. He does not understand. Our mind says, you don't say, I know that. I know that you love me, but you don't say that to me. He doesn't understand. I'm in such a dire situation. My mind is not working properly. That is what we covered the previous steps. So self-inquiry, it has got 3 steps. Listening and learning from the teacher. Why teacher? You already know it. I'm not. Then followed by the contemplation and reflection. What is contemplation and reflection? Peace is my essential nature. So I follow all the thoughts. How peace is my essential nature. I think about it. How peace is my essential nature. That is contemplation. So when your mind, your intellect is saturated, that now I have understood why this teacher is saying that peace is my essential nature. At the point of the saturation, your mind naturally moves into the state of meditation. Naturally, you need not to practice. It is absorbed into that state of consciousness. That is why the mindfulness is known as effortless and natural practice. Self-inquiry also takes a time. I'm just talking about the main steps. So every step has sub-step, then further every sub-step has other steps, depending on your response, depending on how you share your experiences. That gives me an idea and understanding what should be the next topic of our session. Then what happens? The next step. Now the time comes, the mind constantly starts saying, I'm the real self. That brings an end to the suffering. That is the next step. And also the realization. So I have to define. First I have to define, then I will refine. So once I refine, your mind accepts, you have to reinforce that principle in your head to live daily life. That is known as awakening and realization. So let me define realization. Realization is not I will see the real self. Remember, realization is not I will see the real self one day. Realization is not I will become the real self. Then what is the realization? I now know that I'm the real self. I have always been the real self, but I didn't know that. Now I know that I am the real self, or I am the peace, or I am the happiness, or I am the love, I am the truth and happiness. So we will have every session from today, you have to categorize into these categories. So once your intellect picks up and categorize into these categories, some of these principles may have the same category. Now you understood that point. Once you understand these steps, then pick up the one step that I told you. What exactly is the common desire of the human being? I have a different profession, you have a different profession. Your physical makeup is different, my physical makeup is different. There is a difference in the age group, there is a difference in the color, age, height, etc. It's a lot of differences. But there is a common desire. What exactly is the common desire of the entire human race? Common desire is to be in peace, happiness, love, and wisdom. That is our common desire. I want to be happy, that's why I'm angry over you. That is a wrong approach. But why I'm angry over you? Because you did not meet my expectations so that I should have been happy. So that approach is for those people who do not learn the Eastern wisdom. Are you getting it? I'm learning an Eastern wisdom. My common desire is peace and happiness. You are angry because your approach of being angry is to be happy. And that approach is not good, not right. That is false. So, hence, what happens? It is false. Like a mirror's water. What should I do then? I drop it. You don't drop it. You should not drop it. That's your choice. So, what happens? Your anger does not dictate me. Do you see that? That understanding, if you live with that understanding, nothing outside, no situation, no location, no condition. Oh, you did not congratulate me on my birthday. You are now 1 year less than before. Congratulations. We don't recognize what is false in it. Don't you see? There are a lot of complaints, in our relations. You did not congratulate me on my 25th marriage anniversary. I know how the way you lived your life for 25 years. There is nothing to congratulate. Do you see? We get worried over such a small and petty stuff. You are such a good friend of mine, very close friend, and then you forget my marriage anniversary. Better that you forget. Don't remind me. No, you see, do you see the false and do you see the real? Then you don't get upset. I can give you millions of examples. The way we think and speak and act in our life, 99% our thought, our speech, our action is guided and dictated by the false. I gave you one principle: real, false, and unreal. False does not exist, it appears to exist. So, what is contemplation? The thinking. This is what the chain of the thoughts I should have it. That you get upset over me because your expectations are not met, so that you should have been happy. So now you are trying to validate your anger not meeting the expectations. That is why I am unhappy with you. And that is what this is. This is known as emotional dependence. Under what section it will come? Mind is working on me. For me, it is a play and a fun. I just gave the 10 steps, or 10 or 9 or whatever it is. Do you see that? When I recognize in my intellect where is the problem, and when I recognize that problem is false, how can I be happy by being unhappy? Do you see that? I don't see that truth. And why don't see that truth means it is false. And I still carry on with the false. False identity, false thinking, false wrong notion, and false action. Don't talk to me. You did not congratulate me on my birthday. It is possible that there is someone close to you. You have a relationship. Mind keeps on thinking. Once you think false, it creates such a chain reaction. Are you understanding that? Maybe it might have happened in your life someday in the past. Don't tell me, but I know it is a fact. You cannot ignore it. I will never say that you say yes to it. Keep in your head. I know you have been talking to that person. That person may be a man or a woman. You don't talk the way you have been talking to that person. You have never talked to me. False. Mind has created a story in my head. And then it goes with the story. What it means? Mind has set an agenda for my life. I must take care of the mind before I take care of that person who may be my honey or my relations. What we do? I will divorce you. Enough is enough. We are living in ignorance. That's why it is causing the suffering. So we'll continue our journey. What is the common goal of the desires in our life? And then we will keep on continuing that. So that because you have been with me for such a long time, so I thought it is better to talk in totally a different way. So keep those these steps in your head, and first thing is that you have to contemplate which step this guy has taken. Let me think of it. And now it is very clear. If it is not clear, you can send the email or you can talk to me. You can raise a question. So with that, let us start our practice. Eyes are closed. Body is. Make your body comfortable. Adjust and align your body. That should be comfortable. And I will introduce those steps during the practice also, so that it may help you to understand what is happening. Now see, I told you to adjust and align the position of the body. Now you are not struggling with the body. It means the mind has not set an agenda over you. How I know it? I'm simply aware. I'm not doing anything. So why you are struggling? Because you were habitual and unconscious in adjusting and aligning the body. You were not aware of the body. Mind is too far from you. And that is why I gave you the step. Look at the neck joint. Be there. Feel sensation, comfort, and steadiness. And then look deeper than the sensation, comfort, and steadiness. It is simply the space or emptiness. Contemplate and reflect why this weird guy says move inside. What do you mean by moving inside? Am I moving into the body? No. Moving inside here means the rise in awareness. What do you mean by rise in awareness? How simple it is to know. You see that is how the knowledge dawns in the intellect, goes to the mind, drops the diktat of the mind. No, but you did not answer. Rise in awareness. You see the shoulder joint, it's purely a material, it's a part, it is an object. Then you experience the sensation, comfort, and steadiness. It is not perceived by the sense organ. And I'm still aware. That is the rise in awareness. Subtler from the physical to subtle. And still subtler, you are aware of the space with so-called within is a language we use. But its essence is totally different. What is the wisdom? It is a rise in awareness. The mind has changed its direction. It was looking at the world. Now it is not looking at the world. It is looking, approaching near to my real self. That makes me comfortable. The entire body, from the top of the head to the toes, feel. Yes, we have a feeling, but that feeling is not seen. It is perceived by the mind at a subtle level. It's not a physical entity, sensation, comfortance. That is the meaning of moving with it. And the space. If you take literally moving within, what do you see inside the body? Bones and blood and vessels and the heart and the lungs, etc., etc. And we have been experiencing the same, but we should know it. And now, when we so-called look within, we find unwanted, unwelcome thoughts. And I have given you the principle. Highway, 3 lanes. Lane number 1, unwanted, unwelcome thoughts. Lane number 2 is the intellect. You are conscious of the unwanted, unwelcome thoughts. That is enough. You are simply aware. But at the same time, you are aware means you are in the lane 2. You are not entering into the lane one. When there is a traffic on the highway, you keep standing on across the road. You don't enter into the traffic to meet with an accident. And that is what happens. So that is another step. That is what is the step? Being carefree. The beauty of the Eastern wisdom is that teacher makes you a teacher to yourself. It gives you all the details. It doesn't hide anything. And now, still, what happens? The mind moves either habitually, automatically, impulsively. It is a fall in consciousness, not a rise. Mind goes up, it's a rise in consciousness. Mind continues to repeat the same thing again and again. There we need to purify the mind. Not only to purify the mind, but to awaken to the higher consciousness. So there are many, many ways. So that is why we followed the next step as mantra, replace the unwanted, unwelcome thoughts. No, replace, does it, a replacement means that you are going to fight with it? No. Let the unwanted, unwelcome thoughts continue their journey, and we continue the journey in another lane. Where is that lane? Sarve bhavantu sukhina. It's better if you say it because it's a Sanskrit phrase. Anything foreign and new you introduce to the brain immediately becomes more attentive, according to the science. Sarve bhavantu sukhina. Sarve bhavantu sukhina. But we don't leave the phrase without knowing the meaning. Let everyone be happy. We don't leave only until the meaning. We go deeper. We want to know the knowledge. So you think. So now you have started thinking totally in a different direction. Happiness, let everyone be happy. By saying so, can everyone be happy? Yes. Why? It's a recognition that happiness is my essential nature. So the way I recognize happiness is my essential nature, so I recognize every living species as a common desire, happiness, and which is already within. Sarve santu niramaya. Sarve santu niramaya. Sarve santu niramaya. Let everyone be in the state of the well-being. That is what we desire. A slight discomfort in the body during the session, we have moved our body. Do you see that awareness? So that is an expansion of the same awareness that I want to be in the state of well-being because it is my essential nature. I have to find it. Sarve bhadrani pashyantu. Sarve bhadrani pashyantu. Sarve bhadrani pashyantu. Let everyone be blessed. What do you mean? But just by saying, can everyone be blessed? No, obviously, I recognize that the existence is blessing all of us. That's why you are attending this session. That's why I'm teaching you. Because of the blessing of the existence, that's why I'm alive today. You all are alive. It's a very subtler. We are making the mind subtle. I'll talk about that later. That is the power of the mantra when we do it with the knowledge. Ma kaschid dukha bhag bhavet. Ma kaschid dukha bhag bhavet. Ma kaschid dukha bhag bhavet. And you will find out that it helps our mind to calm down. Because the mind at a very deep unconscious level, it knows that I'm the real self. But because of its habit, it doesn't want. And that's what we are going to remove. So we give another chance to the mind. Look at the head and the neck. And I say, move the mind on the head and the neck all around as if the mind is touching the skin of the entire head and the neck. You experience the sensation, relaxation, and stillness. And then you look inside the head and the neck. So we have two common experiences. One is emptiness or blankness, and other, if you recognize any type of a sensation inside the head and the neck, that sensation represents calmness, and the space and emptiness represents the quietness. Calmness and quietness helps the mind to rise in consciousness. What do you mean by rise in consciousness? Now mind cannot set an agenda for me. I will set an agenda. Move the mind on the right arm as if the mind is touching the entire right arm from the shoulder to the fingertips. Sensation, relaxation, and stillness. And then you look inside the right arm as if the mind moves inside the right arm into the space with a sensation. Where is that experience of the calmness and quietness? Mind moves on the left arm from the left shoulder to the fingertips. Sensation, relaxation, and stillness. Outside. Inside. Now you see how I changed the phrase? Because now you understand it. Inside the left arm, calmness and quietness. So when I say it is calmness and quietness, your mind perceives some sensation and also the space. That is the meaning. Mind moves on the middle portion of the body from the shoulder down in the front to the rib cage and the belly and the back, the shoulder blades and the entire spine. So outside sensation, relaxation and stillness. Inside, maybe inside the heart, sensation, calmness, space, quietness. Mind moves on the right leg from the right side of the waist down to the toes. Sensation, relaxation, and stillness. Inside, calmness and quiet. Mind moves on the left leg. Sensation, relaxation, and stillness. And calmness and quietness. So your mind now knows where you experience the calmness and quietness. I need not to explain in detail, I have already done it. That is how the instruction goes. The entire body, from the top of the head to the toes, sensation, relaxation, and stillness, calmness and quietness. Well, in that state, you look at the breath. The breath goes in and out. When the breath goes in, you simply say Shantoham. Shantoham means I am the peace. Breath comes out, you drop Shantoham. That's all. What is very important, you do not change the rate and the rhythm of the breath. Why I said so? We don't want the mind should set an agenda for me in my life. Mind starts doing habitually. I say, no, I'm not interested. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Bring your awareness on the right hand, your awareness on the left hand. Lift your both the palms, place it on your eyes. Open the eyes inside the palms. Know your experiences. Bring the hands down. And once you know your experiences, bring the hands down. We'll share our experiences now. How are you, Sophie?
Hello, Girish. I am good. Uh, it was very funny when you said that the mind shouldn't be uh, playing with the breath. I wanted to laugh so much because I could see it doing it.
Yes, you see, doing.
Yes, you see doing. Ah, and so then it was not easy to release, but then when I released it, I could feel my pulse in my hands and my pulse in my ears and the body completely frozen. Yeah.
Yes, that's
Yes, that's
beautiful, beautiful
beautiful.
experience. I'm muting you so that everybody can listen. Otherwise, there is a echo. So it's a body is frozen. We find the sense of the calmness within, and we have a recognition that the mind was setting an agenda, changing the breath with the Shantoham, and it stopped. So you see how the deeper layers of recognition we have. And those recognition is nothing but the cognitive ability, and that cognitive ability helps us to progress, to prevent mind to set an agenda, to enter into the higher journey. Wonderful. And how are you, John?
Hey, Girish, I'm fine. My mind did not set an agenda, so that's good.
Very good. I like
That's
it.
good.
That's good. You see, you recognize consciously how the mind is setting an agenda and how it is not. So that itself is a success in the journey. But if we keep that state all the time, we are already there. That is what I discussed perhaps in the last step. How are you, Charlie?
Hi everyone. The camera's up here, but I'm looking at the screen here. So sorry if it doesn't look like I'm looking at you. Um, my mind got stuck on I don't understand what false and not real is. I was really having a hard time with understanding what that means. And so when I did the meditation, I found it hard to relax into it because my mind was going, I don't understand this. I thought I understood it. I was beginning to get it. And now I don't understand it at all. And I was, so yeah, I'm struggling with that. Yeah, so that was my experience today.
Yes. So, first thing to understand clearly, the mind got obsessed with what is false, and that very obsession is a false, that the mind cannot recognize it. And it becomes because the mind has already set an agenda for it. That is what happens in our journey. In our journey of this self discovery, the mind picks up one thing and it gets obsessed with it. It goes on repeating rather than it says, let me understand. So put the mind intellect into an understanding. So what how? Listen to this talk again and again and again until and then give at least 5 or 6 examples to yourself. And that will bring an understanding. How are you, Mead?
something about I don't know what to call it. My spirit feels stronger in here.
Good.
I don't know what that means, but I feel something.
Yes.
Uh,
Yeah. Go ahead.
I guess it's I want to give in to my habits, but
Good.
I feel something else is moving that's helping me not to just collapse in again.
Yeah. Not to give in. So we already recognize the mind wants to work on me. At the same time, I also recognize the other side, that there is something very strong presence in me.
Mhm.
So this is what out of these steps, can I say that is the power of discernment. We have separated the two. In obsession, we cannot do it. In calmness, we have separated. So even you can label anything, the power of the spirit or anything, but what is very important that I'm able to separate myself where the mind wants to set an agenda, but I'm not doing it. I'm not giving it. That is what is known as the stronger self.
Mhm.
Wonderful. That is, so I think it's working the way I have contemplated to start the journey of this group in this way. How are you, Anne?
Yeah, I feel very calm and quiet. I didn't
Very
fall asleep, I think.
Yes.
And I was not I was not invaded by any thoughts.
Beautiful.
Bothered me really.
Ah, that's a wonderful. That's a good sign of the progress. I want to take a minute. Yes, go ahead. And anything more?
No, that's no, I'm fine. Yeah, that was all.
So think of it that a sensation of relaxation supported by a state of stillness in the body. It is the outermost layer. Then the calmness is the second layer. It is the inside, the relaxation and the stillness. And innermost layer is a sense of quietness. That is how the mind perceives and cognizes, or the cognitive ability it has. There are thoughts you are holding in the state of relaxation and stillness. The thought disturbs your pattern, your body, and sometimes your mind. But now, when it is a calmness, that thought comes, you recognize it. You have a fear it will disturb me, but it does not. In the state of the quietness, nothing happens. Thought is there, okay. It's too far from you to give you an impact. So that is what Anne has explained, and you all have explained. So understand that you are at present paying attention to what I'm speaking to you. There may be many other noises going on around you that doesn't affect you. So it is a state of quietness. It is not that the state of quietness should drop and dissolve all the noises of the fire station. It has nothing to do with the fire station. That's a good example. It is nothing. Oh, let it happen. Then what? We can be quiet in a mob, and we can be highly disturbed being lonely.
Mm. Mm.
Thank you. We will meet again. again next week. Thank you very much. It appears that Charlie is holding her hand in namaste to somebody else. It's okay.